Hello again, this is Chris Scher, and that's Robert Harding. I love rolling the R's. You have a very easy name to roll.
Hey,
And this is the
thank
Citizen.
my parents.
This is the Citizen Sports Weekly. We're recording this video on Thursday, April 24th, 2014, which is the day after the NFL schedule came out. Woo! It was like a holiday.
Yeah, you were really into it yesterday.
Oh, I was diving into it.
Thursday games.
The Thursday games, like who's playing on
time.
Thursday, prime time, and this weird thing that I was just saying to Robert, cross-flexing. Now, I always thought cross-flexing is like you're trying to flex your muscles and you're maybe crossing them or something. I don't know. But according to the NFL, cross-flexing is when CBS will be airing a game with all NFC teams or a game that takes place with the NFC team being the road team, okay? And vice versa. Fox doing an all AFC game or a game where the AFC team is the home team. Before that, it kind of was just, CBS just did AFC games, and they did games where the AFC team was the road team in an NFC city, and then vice versa for Fox, where they did all NFC games, and the NFC game team was the road team. So that's out the window now. So it's all over the place, and the schedule's a lot of fun. And you kind of go through and you want to say, okay, this is a win, this is a loss, that kind of thing. And the weird thing is that you already know who your team is playing at the end of the regular season from last year. You know who they're playing, but now that you actually have dates and times, it's a little more fun that way because you can kind of figure out like, yeah, we should win this game. Yeah, we should win this game. Yeah, we should. Yeah, this is a loss. Oh, good, we have a bye this week. That kind of thing. So, well, anyways, Robert being the Bills fan, me being the Dolphins fan, I think we figured we would kind of delve into those two teams. But Robert, if you do want to say anything else about the schedule itself, any of the Thursday night games, or anything else about the overall NFL schedule, I mean, go ahead and talk.
My only criticism is that I was telling this to a coworker of ours earlier, but one thing that I would like to see with the NFL schedule change is that instead of playing four teams from the same division, year in and year out, you change up the divisions, of course, but I'd just like to see it. You have your divisional opponents, of course. You have a select select conference schedule rather, where you play certain teams from your conference. But then, after that, I'd like to see kind of a wild card, where, just a mixed bag of NFC teams instead of saying, oh, you're going to play four teams from this division. I think it would open things up, make things a little more interesting. The way now, I'm sure makes it easier to do the schedule, but, just something that, I think the NFL could change to keep things a little more wide open and less structured like that. But otherwise, the schedule, like you said, it's fun, and can't wait to dig in here.
Yeah, I mean, you can even say whether the NFL should do some type of realignment or changing the divisions or whether going to a conference format, but we'll say that for another time. So anyways, go ahead with the Bills schedule, Robert.
Well, the Bills start the season off September 7th at Chicago, tough road game, NFC North opponent. Of course, speaking of the scheduling, that's much like the Dolphins. The Bills will be playing all four NFC North teams this year, and they get right into it with Chicago.
And I think that's a Fox game.
Yeah, I think you're right. After that, hello Dolphins.
Hey, there we go.
Week 2.
So, geez, there's a good
Bills
chance.
home opener.
There is a good chance this game will sell out. It will not be blacked out here in Syracuse, and I actually will be able to see it without having to, have somebody set up a webcam in Miami, which was not good, believe me. So, anyways.
So that's the home opener.
It should sell out.
You can take it to the bank, Chris.
All right, Robert will buy out the rest of the tickets just in case, right?
After that, the next week, another home game for the Bills, September 21st against San Diego. The following week, back on the road, they play at Houston. Again, heading into October now, October 5th, they play at Detroit. Then come back home for a couple of games, October 12th against New England, October 19th against Minnesota. Then back on the road one more time before the bye on November 2nd, they play the Jets in the Meadowlands on October 26th. Then, of course, we've got the bye. To wrap things up, they play Kansas City on the 9th of November. That's an afternoon game. And then 4 days later,
Thursday
hello
night.
Miami again.
Yeah, going down south, a little warm weather
Thursday
there.
night game.
I know. Hopefully they'll be able to handle the heat and humidity.
Oh, here we go.
We'll see.
So, of course, with the Thursday game, you get a bit of a lull there, get a few extra days off, and then they return home and play the Jets on the 23rd. That's followed by the Cleveland Browns the next week on November 30th, and then we get into December.
And that's where it gets fun.
And that's where it gets fun.
Schedule gets a little tougher.
This is a tough slate to close out the
Could
season.
lose 3 out of 4.
Yeah, much different than December during the 2013 season, because you looked at all 5 of those games and said, Bills could win these. But this is a tough schedule. December 7th, they play at Denver. That's an late afternoon game. That's going to be a tough one.
That's going to be a tough one, yeah.
Then the Bills return home for their final home game against the Cheeseheads.
And that should sell out.
I think so.
I think there's enough
Packers
fans.
travel well.
Packers travel well. I mean, and before we get into the last 2 games, I think the Bills' complaint has been too many late season games.
Too many December games.
In Buffalo, and I think the NFL addressed this.
Yeah, you look at the schedule, and it's pretty balanced. Four home games after the bye, which the bye falls the first Sunday in November. So, that's not a bad not a bad deal.
No, you get at the halfway point, which is
Yeah.
great. That's a pretty good deal with that one, getting your bye at November 2nd.
Right. So rounding it out, December 21st at Oakland. It's a winnable game on paper. We'll see what happens though. And then December 28th, Bills close it out at New England, which hasn't been kind of the Bills in the past. But
No.
We'll see what happens.
And funny you talk about New England, because that's who Miami opens up with at home on September 7th. And, Miami usually gives New England a tough game at home. They beat the Patriots at home last season. And, I'm not going to analyze all these games because we don't have enough time, but I just got a good feeling about this game. Dolphins have new offensive coordinator, Bill Lazor, former Cornell quarterback. This is going to be his first real game. I think that the Dolphins are going to show some new things that New England cannot prepare for, and that might help them out there. And we'll see what happens. But I like Miami in that game. Then, as we discussed, at Buffalo, that's always a tough one. Miami, of course, got swept by the Bills, as Robert will be glad to remind me. He got his 2 Tim Hortons hot chocolates from me. And, maybe Miami playing a little bit better weather in Buffalo is the trick there. We'll see what happens. Then they host Kansas City, and they're serving that their home open in their second game. And it's a late afternoon game, because I know the Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross, doesn't like it when the Dolphins play early games in September, because I think the heat's too much for the fans. And I've been to an early season game in Miami, and it is hot, I'll give you that, but still, it's your advantage, don't give it away. And then we go to jolly old London, where the Dolphins play a Raiders home game at Wembley. And that's going to be weird, but, I like it because it's a neutral site, basically. I think Miami's going to have a home field advantage there. I think there's a lot of Dolphin fans over in the UK. I think that helps them out. Then they get their bye because they're coming back from England. It's early. You don't like to have it that early, but you don't have much of a choice when you're playing in England the week before. And then we host the Packers. And I think, I hate to say it, but same thing with Buffalo. There's going to be a lot of Packer fans in Miami. I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of green in that stadium.
A lot of cheeseheads.
That's not good. Then Miami hits the road for 2 straight games at Chicago, which is going to be a tough one, and then at Jacksonville, which hopefully you think would be a win. They host San Diego. They beat San Diego at home last year. And I know San Diego will kick themselves, felt they should have won that game, so that should be interesting how they play that game. At Detroit, that should be interesting on the road, but it's an indoor game. Home against Buffalo on Thursday night. That'll be fun, always great. I might have to take that night off. I think Robert and I might have to get together and watch that game. And then just before Thanksgiving, at Denver, and like Robert's Bills, that's a tough one to win. I'd be happy with a competitive game. And then back on the road again at the Jets. And it seems like the Dolphins played the Jets the first week of December last year. So I don't know how much of this stays, almost they recycle it a little bit. But we did beat them in New York last year, but again, it's a new season. Home against the Ravens. The Ravens own the Dolphins at home. That's going to be a loss most likely. At New England, that's the real cold weather game. you never know what can happen. But by then, who knows what the situation could be, but I'm not getting my hopes up. And then they finish up with 2 at home, which you really can't complain about. Home against the Vikings, which you like to think would be a win, and home against the Jets, where, just like last year, last game of the regular season, if they'd beaten the Jets, they would have made the playoffs. They just completely played like garbage, lost the game. So you would think that would be a win, but still, not feeling too optimistic now. But like I said, a long way to go. We still have the draft, and we don't. I mean, that's really the amazing thing is that it feels like the off season's been going on forever now.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're
Really,
barely.
it's
It's
been
only been
short of
2.5
3
months.
months,
Yeah. And they haven't even had the draft yet. I mean, we have another 2 weeks for the draft. It's crazy. And I give the Bills credit. They gave their front office, the scouts and the draft people the week off. Because really, what else can you do? You would have done it by now. Tonight would have been the first day of the draft, I think. So they gave the team, the guys, the week off, which I think was a nice gesture. So yeah, it's just thrilling to have the NFL schedule out. They have some, these we circle these on the calendar and put them up on our refrigerators and just get really excited about these games. And there's just that optimism. Like maybe this is the year that my team puts it together and makes the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Dolphins have only done it once in the last 13 years, and of course, as I like to remind Robert, the Bills haven't done it since 1999. And but maybe this is the year it happens.
Never know.
I mean, if Miami and Buffalo could both make the playoffs, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Miami winning the division and Buffalo the wild card. It'd be perfect. So, well, anyways, we're going to step away from football for the last segment here. Last night, if you were watching the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry there, the matchup, Yankee starting pitcher Michael Pineda was caught, I guess you could say, wearing pine tar. I didn't know. Maybe he thought it was cologne. I guess Keith Olbermann had a great top 10 list of, why Pineda was wearing pine tar. One of them was it's like my cologne. And I mean, baseball has a little bit of similarity with NASCAR. There's a lot of cheating going on. The old saying is if you're not cheating, you're not trying, so to speak. And I think in baseball there's a lot of this going on, but we just don't know about it. It's really hidden. And Pineda just was not too adept at hiding his pine tar. I mean, putting it on the back of his neck was not too smart. And, I think the Red Sox felt that they kind of gotten taken advantage of the last time, or they let it go, and this time they weren't going to let that happen, and they stayed.
It was on what, his wrist?
Yeah. You're not going to get away with it. And the funny thing is, I was having 2 flashbacks watching this. One was to Joe Niekro, the former knuckleball pitcher, who got caught with a nail file in his back pocket, and when the umpires were searching him, he kind of like put his hands in his back pocket and kind of flicked it out there to avoid being caught. But of course, it was on TV. The umpire did see it, and he was caught and suspended. And then whenever you hear the Yankees and pine tar, George Brett, the angriest I've ever seen anybody in my entire life, and it's still amazing he did not kill any of those umpires. I think Don Denkinger, no, not Don Denkinger. I forgot the name of the umpire that he was going after there, who called him out for using too much pine tar on the bat. So Yankees and pine tar do have a little bit of a history there, and I thought maybe Girardi was going to pull another George Brett, although he kind of took his aggressions out on the camera. Although he's not going to be, I guess, punished for, affecting the camera there. So
yeah.
But if you're going to cheat, I'm not saying we condone it, but if you're going to cheat, be smart about how you do it. Don't put pine tar in places that can be seen. It's just not too smart there. So, what was your take on it, Robert?
I thought it was stupid. All eyes were on you after the last time where you got away with it in game, and
Yep.
it was quite the topic, in the day or two after that, that he was able to get away with this, and really, given that, you have the technology now where you have photos and all this other stuff. It's hard to believe that the MLB didn't take action then. But they let it slide, and I guess they were thinking that no one would be dumb enough to try it again on national TV, and here we are. So stupid thing to do. Hopefully he's learned his lesson. And,
10 game suspension.
That's at least a couple
2
starts for
yeah.
him. So, it's a hard lesson, but you can't do those things. And once you get caught, you're caught. And he was caught once, didn't get any punishment for it, got caught again. So, now it's up to him to kind of change his ways and maybe lean on his natural abilities a little more.
Let's hope he's got some natural abilities too.
Right.
So I know. Well, that's it, folks. We appreciate you watching our video here this week, and please share the links, and we'll see you next week. Thanks again.